All right, guys, today I'm giving you an overview of The Question Omnibus, Volume 1 by Denny O'Neil and Dennis Cowan. Let's get into it. What's up, guys? BJ Kicks here. I buy comics, I read them, and I review them, all for your viewing pleasure. If you're new here, welcome. If not, welcome back. Today, I've got some Bronze Age goodness to show you. We're doing an overview of The Question, Volume 1 by Denny O'Neil and Dennis Cowan. Now, I don't do these omnibus overviews often, mostly because I don't get them early. So by the time I get a book in the mail, I'm sure you've seen it. You've seen it inside and out. You've seen places in this Omni that no one should see without being in the privacy of their own homes. I'm joking. But you've seen the book, so I feel like, it's kind of redundant for me to post a video, but you guys are always requesting them. So here we go. Question Omnibus Volume 1. Before we get into the book, huge shout out to Organic Price Books, which is where I purchased this book. This is still in stock on the website with a retail price. Well, cover price on this is $99.99. You can grab it at Organic Price Books for $70, but you can save even more. You can save $2 on your order of 1 or 2 books using code BJKicks. If you're buying 3 books or more, use coupon code BJKicks, ship it together. You'll save 5% on this and every item in your order, and they'll all be shipped in one convenient package, assuming everything's in stock. If not, they'll just wait and then ship it all together. But anyway, huge shout out to Organic Price Books for sponsoring this video. I'll leave links in the description below to where you can purchase this book. But for now, let's just take a look inside. All right, guys, so here we are taking a look at The Question by Denny O'Neil and Dennis Cowan. This is Volume 1. My understanding is that there's enough material for Volume 2. This will definitely be my first time taking a look at this stuff. Well, my second. I definitely opened this off camera. But right off the bat, this is the cover for Question issue number 1. Love it. I believe this is by Bill Sienkiewicz. Yep, Bill Sienkiewicz, 1986. So before we jump inside, let's take a look. What's this collect? Does it say? It collects the stories and letters pages from The Question 1 through 27, Question Annual number 1, Green Arrow Annual number 1, and Detective Comics Annual number 1. Cover price on this is just $99.99. It's a $100 book. This is a thick book for just $100. So super dope. Printed and bound in Canada. Got to give a huge price to, or shout out, not price. Got to give a huge shout out to Organic Price Books for getting this one over to me super quick. I pre-ordered this, and as soon as they got it in the warehouse, they sent it over. I've had this in my possession since last Saturday, which would be like 3 days before the release date. So that's super cool. But anyway, as you can see, we've got this beautiful cover or artboard artwork by Dennis Cowan and Bill Sienkiewicz. On the back, another image here, I believe by the same team. Gotta love that. I literally only bought this because it's Dennis Cowan and Bill Sienkiewicz on a lot of the artwork. The Question by Denny O'Neil, Dennis Cowan. Very cool. This font is basically like a typewriter font. It almost reminds me of Papyrus, which I hate the Papyrus font, but it's not quite Papyrus, so it's not that bad. It's the question mark that looks like Papyrus font to me specifically. But anyway, as you can see, this paper, it's like a kind of glossy, kind of matte paper. Like you can clearly see the gloss. But yeah, so we've got a table of contents that I can't lie is a little bit hard to read. I probably should just put my reading glasses on. But I love that we've got the table of contents. We've got the actual story name and the issue and the credits. So that's dope. And we even get, what page the stuff is on. Now, that'd probably be more helpful if the omnibus had a bunch of page numbers. It doesn't have a bunch because there's a lot of art that kind of goes straight through what we would call in graphic design land. It's a full bleed. So there's a lot of art that goes all the way to the edge of the paper. But when it doesn't, you do get some page numbers. So here's page 11. Right. But anyway, let's jump right into this. So as you can see on the table of contents, the vast majority of this art is by Denny O'Neil, is by Dennis Cowan. friend of the channel. And that's why I bought this book. No shame in my game, I won't lie. I hadn't read these stories. Now, the Question is a character that I had only been familiar with because of the Justice League Unlimited series. Just the guy with no face, being a detective or reporter, investigative journalist, if you will. It's just cool to me. But this is like classic, gritty, crime-ridden like stuff, right? So I read The Question, The Deaths of Vic Sage last year, and that was fun. But this guy, The Question, is all about like, it's similar to Batman in some ways to me, because he's all about like kind of uncovering corruption. So he's going after like politicians. Oh, you're trying to be the mayor, but you're like running a prostitute ring or something, like, then Question's coming after you. But The Question, of course, being a crime fighter by night, is actually a relatively famous TV reporter by day. Victor Sage, if you will. And so this is kind of about that life that he's living, right? He's covering these stories, being a reporter on his Clark Kent stuff, right? But then he's like a very brutal enforcer. As you can see, he has no problem like rooting out like whatever is going on. You can see he just throws a stick of dynamite. That's crazy. Man, this art is just great. I really love this art. I think there is a content warning on this. There was one instance where, or I don't know if it's just one instance, but there's definitely one instance where the N-word is used. And if you've ever seen the Malcolm X movie, it's used in the same way that it's used during the card game scene, where Denzel pulls out a gun on that other dude that's in like every Spike Lee movie ever. So that was fun to see in here. Fun's probably not the best word, but it was funny to see, because clearly it's a product of its time, and you got both of those slang terms right in the same panel. But anyway, The Question is from Hub City. Now, fun fact, Hub City in the real world is a code word for Compton, California. I don't think this is supposed to be Compton, California. I think Hub City is supposed to be like somewhere in like the Midwest, maybe the Northeast, like Vermont, New Hampshire or something. I don't know. But just the vibe that you get is like, this is like a northern city. And yeah, so I'm excited to get this. Now, The Question has a history outside of DC Comics. He was a Charlton Comics character, like Blue Beetle and some others that got bought by DC. That's pretty much the story of DC Comics, right? You've got a bunch of characters that were created elsewhere and purchased by DC. So interesting stuff. That's how you get a bunch of people. Apparently The Question is who Rorschach from Watchmen was loosely based on. And they play around with that in here. We're 11 issues in. Just want to show you, it's finally starting to lay down for me. I don't have to like hold it down. You can still see pages still want to like pop back. I only stretched this spine out once, and there's a pretty sizable eye. So if you're looking about for build quality, there you go. But yeah, this is one of those books that, like I said, I bought strictly because of the creative team. Denny O'Neil was like a god in the Batman world, right? And Dennis Cowan is, like I said, a friend of the channel. Of course, I know Dennis mainly for his work on Milestone and, basically everything he did after this. But for me, I thought it would just be cool to get an idea of where he started, how his skills developed, and what made him famous, what made him like a powerhouse in comics to even get to the point to do that. So that's why I ended up grabbing this. But I'm very excited about it. Okay, I was confused as to what I was looking at, but this is Vic Sage doing some yoga, some stretches. That's funny. But yeah, I mean, I just really like Dennis Cowan's artwork. The line work on here, I don't know who the inker is. I don't know if it changes from issue to issue, but it's kind of been like a hallmark of Dennis Cowan's later work, especially. But it's kind of all throughout. But you get a lot of like just line work on characters' faces and things like that. Omar said it reminded him of like a Todd McFarlane, and I could definitely see that. I could see that influence there, as in Cowan influencing McFarlane. Um, McFarlane always says, or I heard McFarlane say once that when he adds a bunch of detail, it's kind of to make up for the fact that he might be lacking in other areas. Um, One thing that I'll say is that Dennis Cowan's work is not like it's not that hyper anatomy stuff that you get in the 90s. It's not like I don't know, you almost get the sense that like some of these 90s artists just kind of studied like Greek and Roman statues, but then just took them to like a super extra higher level than that, or more bodacious. This is like fundamentally sound, but still stylized, and I like it. The best term I can come up with for it is gritty. It's gritty. Like, it's not trying to be incredibly polished. It's not trying to be hyper realistic, but it still has depth. It has like a texture to it, right? And that's why it's part of the reason I like the paper that this is on. This is kind of, like I said, it's like a semi-gloss paper. It's not incredibly thick, but it's thicker than a lot of the Marvel stuff you're seeing so far in 2022. Here's a crossover with Green Arrow. So that's pretty cool. All in all, I'm excited about this. I love a good street level story. I love a good detective story. I love gritty artwork. So this is all right up my alley. I got to figure out when I'm going to read it. That's always the story with these, right? This year is all about reading through the X-Men. And next year, I'm definitely going to do some more DC. I thought I was going to do like a whole Batman read through in 2023, but I think spending a whole year on one character or team probably isn't the best way to consume comics. I'm excited about like learning more about different characters I'm not as familiar with, that I didn't grow up on. Like the Question. Oh, here's Batman. Speaking of Batman. So, but I am looking forward to reading this. This definitely seems like we would save this for something to read after some big cosmic story, right? Like, I could read a Green Lantern Volume 1 by Jeff Johns and then read something like this. I could see that happening. So anyway, let's look a little bit more at some of this artwork, and then let's go down to, she's tasting the blood. Like, did you really just cut me? That's crazy. But yeah, we'll take a little bit more looks at these artwork, and then we will see if there's any extras. I love this. It's very hard for me not to just go page by page looking at this. But then I guess I could get like a copyright strike. And then also, okay, look at this cover. It's Dennis Cowan and Bill Sienkiewicz on this cover. It's textured, it's gritty. This is just great. I imagine, like, if I was into comics back in 1988 when this came out, I would jump straight to this on the rack. And there you go. There's more of that line work to convey the depth, like I was telling you guys about. That's something I just love about Dennis Cowan's artwork. But man, him and Sienkiewicz just show off on these covers for this series. We got like 5 issues left. Let me just jump forward. This art is getting better. Like, it's getting better. It's looking more and more like Dennis Cowan as we go on, which is cool because it started off strong and it stayed strong. The coloring, this is definitely like Bronze Age coloring style, where it's like more flat. There's not a lot of like shading going on. It's really inks and flat colors. So that's definitely like a mark of its time. And I think that's why Cowan doing so much line work really works, But anyway, I got to shout out Cowan's inker before this is all said and done, because the inker definitely helps this stand out a lot. All right, let's look and see if there's any extras. Boom. So we got a biography for Denny O'Neil and one for Dennis Cowan. So that's cool. Nice, nice. And then we got these letters pages, also known as the answer. No, not you, Allen Iverson. The letters column. It's called the answer. Talking about practice. All right. So we got all these letters pages, and then just a couple of house ads. It looks like that's a nice image. I like that. And that's it. 1986 promotional poster for the Fables crossover. So we got Batman, Green Arrow, and The Question. Okay, so that's probably why those annuals were included in here. That's nice. This is the Dennis Cowan and Bill Sienkiewicz collaboration. Again, I told you, man, that team, I never want to see that team apart from each other. But that's the book. So that's the overview. The Question by Denny O'Neil and Dennis Cowan is out right now. Omnibus Volume 1 retails for $99.99. You can grab it for $70, I believe, at Organic Price Books. You can save even more if you use the code BJKicks at checkout. If you're buying 3 books or more, you can save 5% by using the code BJKicks. Ship it together. So that's super dope. And if you happen to be watching this before June 30th, check out Organic Price Books Summer Sale. They've got an extra 14% off select books. I believe this might be one of them. So check it out. Links are all in the description below. That's going to do it for me. I hope you saw something you liked in this video. I know I did. Shout out to Dennis Cowan and shout out to the late, great Denny O'Neil. But anyway, hope you saw something you liked. And if not, that's cool, man. Because you can always buy what you like. Just make sure you read what you buy. And be nice to others. Because kindness makes the world go round. Peace.